Well, it's good to be back again after being gone for 2 Sundays and realizing that you all could hold up without me. That's not a good feeling. Aiden, you want to slip over a little bit? I've seen you
Dodging the
kicking
camera.
around and dodging that camera. I don't want to dwell on this trip we had, but I just tell you a little bit of it. My wife and I rented a camper van that sleeps 2 and took our grandson on a trip out west. We visited, we went through 7 states and 5 national parks. And I want to tell you in great detail about each park, so I'm just kidding. It was a great time. My first impression during the whole trip and after, just how great this land is we live in and how vast it is. And I drove one day for 10 hours and we didn't hardly see any people, or it was just straightaways through what I would call wilderness area. And of course, one of the sad things for me was going to the site of Wounded Knee and of the Lakota Reservation in Idaho. I think I got that right. Is it Idaho? How many people have been out west? Okay. And so I won't dwell on that, but one of the things that I found interesting was that early on, the park rangers would tell visitors that the Indians saw certain land, for example, the geysers in Yellowstone, as a place of evil. And they came to find out that it was totally opposite. That the Lakota Indians were not afraid of the geysers. They saw that as a sacred place of healing, where they cook their food or take warm baths or whatever. And the other one was Devil's Tower. That you can see how our ancestors from Europe came in and sort of what's the word? Desecrated the shrines of the Native American people, because it wasn't to them a Devil's Tower. It was a sacred place.
Bear
And
Lodge.
so we named it Devil's. So sorry, Chris?
It was Bear Lodge. They called it Bear Lodge.
To desecrate the book that I'm interested in reading is the book Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, where the Lakota Indian tells about it wasn't the actual killing, but it was the killing of the spirit of the Lakota people. Anyway, I won't dwell on that. I'll dwell more on the positive. One more thing is that we were in Yellowstone. It was in the 70s during the days and go down to the 50s in the night, and we were camping. And I guess you call it camping when you're sleeping in a van. Luxury camping, maybe. Anyway, the day after we left, the temperatures dropped down to the 30s. And so we were able to miss that. So there's so much I could tell you, but it's a beautiful country. We live in a beautiful country. I discovered the Lakota Indians. I hate calling them Indians because that's the name Columbus called them, because he thought he had discovered India. So he called the inhabitants Indians. They're not Indians, and they don't know themselves as Native Americans either. They're just indigenous people. But I discovered the Lakota have no word in their language for owning the land. And when they heard that phrase, they were just kind of dumbfounded. I mean, if you've ever read the letter from Chief Seattle, you know, he says, "How can you own the land?" He said, "That's a strange idea to our people." And I thought that was interesting, that they had no word in their language for private property or owning the land. Anyway, enough said of that. On behalf of the 4th of July, which was yesterday, which many Americans, as you may know, are having had struggles celebrating that. 65 to 69% of Americans believe we're half, but I still want to celebrate the 4th of July, and I want you to join with me in a reading in our hymnal. It's number 586. It's by Abraham Lincoln, and the title is The Idea of Democracy. And we'll read that on behalf of our celebration of the 4th of July here together this morning. As labor is the common burden of our race, so the effort of some to shift their share of the burden onto the shoulders of others is the great durable curse of the race.
As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master.
This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this, to the extent of the difference, is no democracy.
Our reliance is on our love for liberty. Our defense is in the spirit which prizes liberty as the heritage of all people and all lands everywhere.
Destroy this spirit, and we have planted the seeds of despotism at our own doors.
Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves and cannot all retain it.
Why should there not be a patient confidence in the ultimate justice of the people? Is there any better or equal hope in the world?
Let us have faith that right makes might, and in that faith let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it.
Thank you. Anita. Where's Anita? Will light our challenge for us this morning.
So this is my take on inner forces. Finding your inner force. You as well must never apologize for being a force of nature. Joy Bell C. A stream carving its way through the rocks takes time to achieve the goal. Like the stream, we can be a force of nature without causing upheaval in our surroundings. As the stream creates its own path over time through the rocks, so can we be a positive force of nature using collaboration and teamwork to help create growth for ourselves and others. Dr. Anna Pridemore. And lastly, man masters nature not by force, but by understanding. Jacob Bronowski.
Thank you, Anita. When midnight comes, the people homeward tread. Seek now your blanket and your feather bed. Home is the rover, his journey over. Yield up the night time to old John O'Dreams. Yield up the night time to old John O'Dreams. Across the hill the sun has gone astray. Tomorrow's cares are many dreams away. The stars are flying, your candles dying. Yield up the darkness to old John O'Dreams. Yield up the darkness to old John O'Dreams. Both man and master in the night are one. All things are equal when the day is done. Prince and the plowman, the slave and the free man, all find their comfort in old John O'Dreams. All find their comfort in old John O'Dreams. When sleep it comes, the dreams come running clear. The hawks of morning cannot reach you here. Tchaikovsky wrote the tune, but I don't know who wrote it. It's an Irish, it comes from Ireland, or Irish number. Join with me, please, to the work of this fellowship, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community. We dedicate our lives to these, our offerings. Our reading is 5:30 out of the stars. Out of the stars and their flight out of the dust of eternity, here we have come, stardust and sunlight mingling through time and through space.
Out of the stars we have come, up from time. Out of the stars we have come.
Time out of mind before time in the vastness of space, earth spun to orbit the sun, earth with the thunder of mountains newborn, the boiling of seas.
Earth warmed by sun, lit by sunlight, this is our home. Out of the stars have we come.
Mystery hidden in mystery, back through all time. Mystery rising from rocks and the storm and the sea.
Out of the stars rising from rocks and the sea, kindled by sunlight on earth a rose light.
Ponder this thing in your heart, ponder with awe. Out of the sea to the land, out of the shallows came ferns.
Out of the sea to the land, up from the darkness of light, rising tall and high. Out of the sea trembled life.
Ponder this thing in your heart. Lift life up from the sea, eyes to behold, throats to sing, mates to love.
Life from the sea, warmed by sun, washed by rain. Life from within, giving birth to roses of love.
This is the wonder of time. This is the marvel of space. Out of the stars swung the earth. Life upon earth rose to love.
This is the marvel of life, rising to see and to know. Out of your heart, I wonder, sing that you live.
That's by Robert T. Weston. And that little sign out there, that little symbol of the chalice, indicates that he's a Unitarian Universalist. Just a minute, not even a minute, but any reactions to that reading that struck you, that moved you or struck you, or something we want to share, if it's just one word?
No mention of God.
No mention of God. Shame on you. Just kidding. No mention of God. But maybe God is that. Maybe. Good.
Stardust.
Stardust.
We are.
We are stardust. Yeah. Isn't it? We're all stars. Okay. Beautiful reading, I think. Reminds me of our visit to Yellowstone and lining up with the hundreds and hundreds of people to watch Old Faithful. How many have ever seen Old Faithful? Was Old Faithful faithful when you were there? Old Faithful's the only geyser that you could predict. The others just knew what they ever want to do with Old Faithful. Anyway, we waited for 15 minutes in the hot sun waiting with crowds of people to watch Old Faithful. And sure enough, Old Faithful did her thing. She spewed out this hot water and this cloud of steam. And as I was watching that, I was thinking about my sermon topic this morning, hidden forces. The Latin phrases, qualitas, occulta, that's Latin for hidden forces, which indicates that the notion of hidden forces has been around for ages. Humans have always been aware that there are hidden forces. But as I thought about that geyser, Old Faithful, I thought, well, you know, what we see are just the manifestations of forces that we don't see, forces that are hidden in the earth. Because underneath all that steam and water, there's an area of water. And underneath that water are the core of the earth sending up this heat, this intense heat. And I told my grandson, I said, Ryan, I said, you know, the earth is still cooling after 4 billion years. Our earth is still cooling down after 4 billion years. You know, when I think of that, I think of the awesomeness of that, of our planet, because if you go beyond, you know, the core of the earth, that ball of fire, the core of the earth, you think about the formation of the earth 4 billion years ago, when it was just one hot ball of fire surrounded by gaseous air. And over millions of years, the sunlight was able to penetrate through those clouds and touch the earth and awaken life. And you think about that, and it's such a wonder to think about that. And so, which brings me to my subject, hidden forces. We're surrounded by hidden forces. And Anita, I do really appreciate your reading, because you were saying to us that the hidden forces are not only outside of us, but they're also inside of us. There are hidden forces within us as well. And I think it's important to remember that when we think about hidden forces. Now, they're not hidden to themselves, they're only hidden to us. We see them as hidden simply because we don't know them, we can't reach them. They are, to use the term, deep. You know, they're in the depths. One of my favorite songs is, I don't know the number of it, it goes like this: deep calls to deep at the sound of the cataract. If you've ever stood at the Niagara Falls, has anybody ever stood at the Niagara Falls? It's not talking about cataracts of the eye, okay? It's talking about waterfalls. That if you stood it, I haven't done it, but I can imagine hearing that roar and feeling that sense of depth, and that deep out there speaking to the depths of your own being. I think there's a relation to qualitas, occulta, hidden forces, to what Joseph Campbell says are the 4 functions of mythology. And I'm just going to give you one. The first function of mythology, and I can say the function, the same is true of the function of the notion of being aware of hidden forces. And this is what Campbell says. And he says myth, but I'm going to use hidden forces. Hidden forces open the individual to the sense of awe, wonder, and gratitude in the face of the vast transcendental mystery of the universe. It allows people to feel a profound connection to the unknown and realize that all creation is a manifestation of this deep mystery. So being aware of hidden forces is a way to keep wonder alive in your life. You know, that childlike quality that we all have as children, wonder, that we lose as adults because we sometimes get too serious or too analytical or too rational. Lose that sense of wonder. If life, if your own life and living in this world around you seems strange or mysterious at times, you're on the right path. You're on the right path. If you have more questions than answers, and if you doubt what you know or what you think you know, you're on the right path. My advice, take it or leave it, avoid absolutes. And avoid absolutists, people who are absolutely certain. Avoid them. And avoid what they say. The opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is certainty. And apodictic certainty has sent many an innocent life stakes to be burned. So avoid it. All our intelligence is artificial. Every bit of it. Artificial intelligence is nothing new. We have no way of ever knowing if everything we know has any relevance or meaning beyond this world of space and time we live in. And it is impossible for a human to think an eternal thought. So all our intelligence is artificial. It's all mythic, you know. We have no way of knowing if our so-called truths have any meaning outside of our own realm. No way to test them. So again, reiterating what I said earlier and what Anita said in her chalice lighting, these hidden forces are not only in the external world, but they're also deep within us. In physics, for example, the physics of Einstein leads us into the universe without until it reaches that place that's beyond our comprehension. What Einstein called the incomprehensibilities of the universe. He was aware that there are limits to our minds in terms of the physical reality, and we have to recognize the boundaries and the limits beyond which we can't go, in which we will know. Maybe we will know one day, but we don't know now. Psychology teaches us that the universe within is as vast and boundless as the universe without. And the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, if you've ever heard of Heraclitus, his dates are 500 BCE, but Heraclitus said way back then, the soul is boundless. The soul is boundless. The famous Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, founder of depth psychology, explored the depths of the psyche, and he came up with a theory that there were deep hidden forces within us. The conscious layer, this conscious mind that we have when we're awake, what we might call the ego mind. Well, that is the unconscious, the personal unconscious, the unconscious that we store, that we make through all our denials of who we really are, all those tawdry thoughts that we don't want to think about, or all those thoughts we repress, all that trauma we repress forms the personal unconscious. And then he went further and theorized that below those levels of consciousness are the collective unconscious in us. And that collective unconscious is the result of all humankind and the whole history of humankind. Taking us even back into the realm of myths, which are our dreams. Our dreams are myths. But they have meaning. They come from the other world. And, you know, for me, I paid close attention to my dreams. Last night I dreamed of a horse. And there was a little bit of panic in the dream because the horse was, you know, I didn't have full control of this horse. And it was kind of going wild. And it was scaring me. And then it sort of fell down into this hole, and I had to pull it out. And the more I pulled, the bigger it got. And it was kind of a scary dream. But then I thought of one of my famous lines out of the scripture, bridle your passions. I'm trying to bridle these passions, you know. Dreams are messages from the other world. Your dreams are messages from the other world. Your dreams are transcendental. They're messages to your conscious mind about the energies of your body, your passions, your impulses that sometimes go beyond our conscious awareness. You know, one thing you said is be careful to interpret dreams and say, well, you dreamed about a horse, it means this. You know, you have to do it individually. What does a horse mean to you? You know, horses scare me. I've always been afraid of horses. And horses know that too, you know. I go to jump on a horse and it kind of goes like that. But anyway, what they mean to you. But we have this depth within us. Turn to reading number 531. This is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And if you look down to the third paragraph, the title is The Oversoul. You know, Jung called it the unconscious. Emerson calls it the oversoul. Whatever space you want to put it in, under, over, around, through, whatever. You know, that's just a spatial metaphor. I am constrained every moment to acknowledge a higher origin for events than the will I call mine. There is deep power in which we exist, in whose beatitude is accessible to us. Every moment when the individual feels invaded by it is memorable. And if you skip down to the paragraph right before the last one, within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty to which every particle is equally related, the eternal one. One of my favorite stories, and I'm going to close with this, is the book of Job. Anybody ever read the book of Job? And I won't carry on about it. Say one or two things about it before I get to the point that I want to make about the book of Job. But Judaism and Christianity has never reckoned with what Job says in that book. Job is an atheist. He does not believe in the Old Testament God. He does not believe that God rewards good people and punishes bad people. He totally rejects that theology. And that's the theology of the entire Pentateuch and the entire history in the Bible. That's the theology. If you've ever read the Old Testament, or the Hebrew Bible, you know God punishes people when they do bad things, and He rewards them when they do good things. He's a just God. Well, Job totally blows that theology out of the water. And I don't believe the church has ever reckoned with what Job says. But anyway, Job's three friends, if you ever read the book, his three friends were trying to convince him that he's a good man and he's suffering because he's done something wrong, and he needs to just rack his brain to find out what he did wrong. And if it wasn't him, he must go back to his parents and find out what they did wrong. If they didn't do it, he must go back to the third generation. Great-grandpa, grandma must have done something wrong, and that's why you're suffering. That's what his three friends keep telling him. Because God is a just God, and you wouldn't suffer if you didn't do something wrong. Now, people still believe that, because they've never read the book of Job. They still believe that if they do good, God's going to reward them. If they do bad, God's going to punish them. And if bad things are happening to them, it's because they displeased God. That's still a theology today. And it's hogwash for Job. It doesn't work. But anyway, Job is a righteous man. He's suffering. He wants to find an audience with God. And he keeps trying to get this audience with God through these three friends who keep telling him, you know, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. He said, well, I want to talk to God. You know, I want to talk to the man upstairs or the woman upstairs. And when he gets this audience with God, and it's like, and here's what it's like. It's like the cop who has arrested you and accused you of committing a crime, you discover is the judge. You want to go to court, and you find out the judge is the person who's accused you of the crimes. Oh man, you're what's the word? Out of luck. I won't say it. You're up a creek without a paddle. Anyway, he gets his audience with God, and then the tables turn. And instead of raking God over the coals, for 3 chapters, this is what God, it's a myth, this is what God says to Job. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Have you commanded the morning since your days began? Have you entered the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have you entered the storehouse of the snow, or have you seen the storehouse of the hail? Can you bind the chains of Pleiades, or loose the cords of Orion? And here's my favorite. Can you draw out Leviathan with a fish hook, or press down its tongue with a cord? Or will you put it on a leash for your girls to play with? You know, Leviathan, the dragon of the deep. Who holds the power? Who holds your power? The dragon of the deep. You're going to put it on a leash and lead it around? You're going to control it? You're going to master it? Maybe. But my favorite part of that whole story is when Job says, answers God, I'm of small account. I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. And then there's this. I lay my hand on my mouth. Only response to this vast mystery is silence. Silent. That's the Hindu Om. The Hindu takes the three fingers, the 3 letters A, that you can use your voice to pronounce anything like God. Om. They do this number. Om. When their finger gets here, they stop because they're realizing at this point, silence. Silence undergirds this whole world that we live in, this vast unknown, silent to us perhaps, but maybe not to itself. But to me, that is a way to that practice keeps us aware that everything we know, everything we think we know, all our language, all our words, all our intelligence is merely the manifestation of a great unknown silence. Now, if you prefer to call that God, there's nothing wrong with that. Or if you want to call it the Tao. If you want to put a label on it, fine. The point is just to be aware in your life that it's there within you and all around you. And it's speaking to us all the time. And just trying to be aware that it's there and trying to pay attention to it. So I'll end where I started and say again, keep wonder alive in your life. Don't ever let that wonder die. Keep that sense of awe and wonder. That's what I call faith. That's faith. That's what I mean by faith. Faith is not a knowing. Faith is just a deep awareness of those hidden forces. Thank you for listening. And we'll get back on track here. Closing music. I'm I'm going to play a song for you. I don't know the title of it. It's just a tune I heard when I was younger, and I don't know where it comes from. And it's a short little melody, and I'm going to do it 4 times. And if you happen to know the name of it, I wish you would tell me. I'm going to turn this off because it'd be way too loud. Is that off?
Do it again. No, it's not off. Now it's off.
Thanks. And this is a song I play whenever I want to perk myself up. Or perk up my wife. So I'm going to get rowdy, so if you won't want to get rowdy, you can too. Anybody know the name of that song? Okay.
Our closing.
Somebody told me they thought it was an old gospel song. I don't know. Discussion. Anybody have any? Is my mic on or off?
It's on.
Okay, thank you. And would you use the? If anybody has any. Anybody have any comments, queries, or opposing viewpoints?
Ernie, when you mentioned dreams, I have my own interpretation of certain dreams. And this is because this has actually happened to me. I listened one time to a psychic, I think his name was John Edwards. And he said when you have an extremely vivid dream about someone who has departed, that is the person visiting you. And just because of my own experience, it's happened to me twice with both of my parents, and one time it was extremely important. And I believe that, so I guess if I believe that, then I believe there is something beyond right now.
Thank you, Tracy. Chris, back here, Rob, has his hand up. There's no telling what he might say, but give him the mic.
You'll never guess. So Ernie, that dream you had, that's a contraindication of driving a camper van. I had that same dream when I was out in Southwest. It's Southwest South Dakota is where Bear Lodge and Devil's Tower is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right, in South Dakota.
And you should stay in that camper van for really vivid dreams. Stay in it with your wife for 30 days. then it really gets a small space. But I'm glad Sally and I took that same trip in the camper van. It's a great venture.
Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
What you said reminded me of horsepower. Horsepower. I mean, a car is horsepower, and a horse is horsepower. Thank you, Chris. Anybody else have anything they want to add, subtract? Don over here.
Just very briefly, I've realized the older I get, the more wonder I have. I'm fascinated by stuff around me and don't understand how this is all possible.
Anybody else can identify with that? The older you get, the more. Okay.
Oh, I can, okay. Yes. I just wish that I had had the same sense of wonder when I was young that I have now. I would have wasted a lot less time. I just would like to mention precognitive dreams. I don't know if I've ever said anything to you all about the fact that I have them. And I've also had dreams after someone died. And I like to think of us as being all cells on the body of God. And we're all interconnected.
Good one. Thank you, Ellen. Anybody else? Oh, Jim, right there.
Also, the more we find out, the more we discover, the more questions arise. For example, when you get into the quantum area, you have tons of uncertainty, and the more we know, the less we seem to know.
Thank you, Jim. Well, thank you all again for being here this morning, and I hope you have a wonderful day. We close with singing a song. It's in your program. We usually hold hands. On my hand, you'll hold hands and hold your bulletin at the same time. How are we going to do that?
You memorize the song.
Memorize the song, okay. If you would stand up and grab someone's hand next to you, and we'll do our best.